As we inch closer to WWE WrestleMania 41, LA Knight fans need to look in the mirror and have an important conversations with themselves. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. Now, that conversation was sparked with an interesting interaction between LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. So here we go. From Royal Rumble to Twitter taunts, the simmering tension between Drew McIntyre and LA Knight has wrestling fans wondering, could this be a WrestleMania preview? Their recent interaction, both in the ring and online, have ignited speculation about a potential showdown at WrestleMania. But there's more to this picture than what meets the eye. While initial reports suggest that there were some friction between the two coming out of Royal Rumble, they have since presented a united front, leaving fans questioning whether their on-screen drama is genuine animosity or clever storyline building. Now, Drew McIntyre's social media jabs have certainly poured fire or fuel on that fire. He shared a video mocking a fan who had supposedly had a tattoo of LA Knight's world title victories on his arm, only to reveal that it was just his bare arm. Drew said, "How adorable." This fan got LA Knight's world titles wins tattooed on him. So think about it like this. Basically, it's like, I have world championship wins, reigns, you don't. I thought it was clever. Now, this brutal taunt, it highlighted Knight's current lack of world championship gold, obviously. Yes, he has added a little bit of sharpness to his game, but at the end of the day, he's still not getting it done on the biggest stage of them all. Now, this tweet of a fan removing soap from his arm with no tattoo, it was fun, and it's only added fuel to the fire. This also raises a larger question. Will LA Knight ever win a world title in WWE? If he doesn't, I think it's actually more of a possibility that he may not add layers of intrigue to his character to the point where WWE is forced to make him a world champion, right? Now, going back to their feud, while a WrestleMania clash seemed possible after the Royal Rumble encounter, McIntyre's dominant performance on the February 7th episode of SmackDown, where he defeated both LA Knight and Jimmy Uso to qualify the Elimination Chamber, could throw a wrench into that speculation. Now, McIntyre's focus, it appears firmly set on Elimination Chamber and the path to getting to a World Championship match at WrestleMania. However, WWE, they are known to throw in some last-minute changes and swerves. The road to WrestleMania is long and winding, and there is an ample amount of time for narrative to shift. Could LA Knight find a way to insert himself back into McIntyre's path, or could their paths diverge with McIntyre pursuing other aspirations, such as going after a world championship or another opponent? Now, we know that Drew is supposed to be feuding with Damian Priest, or that was the plans going into the Royal Rumble, but we will see if they continue with that. Did you notice something there, though? And this is what I want to talk about. The harsh truth about LA Knight has been something in which I've talked about for a while now, because I've followed his career. I followed his career from NXT in the pandemic, his awesome feud with, Ted DiBiase and Cameron Grimes, but I've also seen his trajectory on the main roster. Think about it. He was brought in as Max Dupree, a horrific character in which he absolutely cannot stand. And then he was given back to LA Knight persona under Triple H, a brilliant move in that regard. And he has since inched his way closer to the main event scene. I think the harsh reality is that he may never win the world title. I'll get more on his trajectory, but to answer that question, here's the reason why I don't think he may never win the world title. He does not seem like a guy that Triple H necessarily believes in. Think about that for a minute. If you look at your Sami Zayn's of the world up until recently, Jey Uso, he will book Chad Gable last year when he was going after the Intercontinental title. You can look at guys where they are booked and they're over like Rover, whether that's baby faces or heels or whatever. They're super over with the fan base. They get great pops. They sell a ton of merch, right? All intents and purposes, they are over to the point where you think this is a lock, guaranteed main event type talent. The only problem is when push comes to shove and they're booked against big-time opponents, against big-time, in big-time situations for big-time titles, they fall short. and it sucks if you are an LA Knight fan. LA Knight did that for a while now, to the point where I was pulling out hairs, because it's like, what are we doing with this guy? He's over. Why not go with him, right? But I also think you have to look at the situation in the sense of, like, it took LA Knight a long time to win a championship, and he finally won the U.S. title against Logan Paul at SummerSlam, and the run was god awful, to the point where he dropped the championship to Shinsuke Nakamura. It was bad. I think you have to realistically say there's a very good chance that LA Knight may never win the world title, because he just doesn't fit what WWE is looking for right now, right? He didn't fit Vince McMahon's mindset. Now he doesn't necessarily fit Triple H's. Like, he's booked pretty strongly until it really counts, but like, he's used on television, he's cutting promos, and he's winning matches. But when push comes to shove, when it all has to be laid out on the line in the big time spots, it never really works out in his favor, right? And this is kind of a ongoing trend for LA Knight, whether it's the Max Dupree, or, he was booked to just put over Bray Wyatt, even though he was getting these monstrous reactions. They didn't do anything with him after the Bray Wyatt feud. He didn't work WrestleMania 39, right? They had to essentially just finally be like, okay, well, these fans are not shutting up about LA Knight. We have to do something. And they finally did, right? They book him in a feud with The Miz. They have him tag with John Cena. Obviously, they go into Crown Jewel 2023. They have him lose to Roman Reigns for whatever reason, even though he was one of the most over baby faces outside of Cody Rhodes, and ultimately, CM Punk. He was up there with like Seth Rollins in terms of reactions. There is a problem with the way that WWE books this guy. It's very weird. It's head scratching. It's frustrating at times, but you also have to like go into it as like, okay, well, I guess that's what they're doing. And it's like, I don't know why you would do that with a guy that is as over as he is, right? But that's just like what they do. And it's just, it's so frustrating. But hey, you know what? Maybe 2025, maybe they can turn things around. Maybe they can get on the LA Knight, ship, get him to where he needs to get going, get him to the point where he can get on the right path in the right direction and finally break through. Whether or not they will do so in 2025 remains to be seen. I would like to see him have another run with the U.S. title, maybe go to Monday Night Raw. I don't know. I don't know where you necessarily go with LA Knight, especially heading into Mania, but we will see how they do that. But more importantly, I think a focus should be, what are they going to do with LA Knight coming out of WrestleMania? That's also a big, big talking point that I think you need to take a serious look at.